I invite you to be seated. So it's become a cliche at this point to make fun of the increasing earliness of the very first Christmas marketing display in the store. I don't know if you associate eggnog with Christmas, but I first saw eggnog the week before Halloween in a store that I was shopping in, and then all of the other things start popping up over time. And some people get really excited because this is a season of anticipation, not only in the church season of Advent sense, but a season of anticipation in the cultural joy sense. For those who have really fond memories and are eager for those times to come again, you can't put out the decorations too soon, because that means it's going to feel good. And then for other Scrooges among us, we make fun of the neighbor's house who puts out all the inflatable snowmen and presents and everything in their yard before Thanksgiving, and we go, it's not Thanksgiving yet. But nevertheless, it's happening. And today marks a shift liturgically to us turning our attention, turning our sight towards the coming of Christ. But here's the trick. How do you anticipate something that's already happened? It's one thing to look forward to a date on the calendar, to a vacation of a place that you've never gone, or to the birth of your first child, something you haven't experienced before, and wonder at all that's coming. But for us in the church, God broke into the world in human form 2,000 years ago. This is old news. Christ is not literally going to be born again among us, but we sing these Advent hymns and we do this processional of all kinds of ritual in these 4 weeks of Advent leading up to Christmas, as though something is coming that we don't know. But we do know, or at least we know in part. And so we're in this odd space, this both and space of looking forward, but also remembering back to the times that we have already experienced, of not only the season of Advent, but of Christmases past and all that those represent. And for some people, that's not always joyful and happy. For some people, the anticipation of what is to come brings back painful memories of loss, of family members who are no longer alive, and Christmases that were spent all together that can't be that way anymore. They bring anticipation of loneliness or anticipation of struggle for trying to meet the expectations of the culture about what's supposed to happen in the holidays. This last week, I had a lady come in to visit me in my office, and she asked me if the church could provide her with some gift cards so that she could go buy some things for Thanksgiving so that she could have a Thanksgiving meal, in her words, like everybody does. And that wasn't going to be able to happen with her own means. And so we are also aware that for some, trying to match what is all around us in the holiday displays and the music and the malls and wherever else there are increasingly signs of this build up to a hopefully joyful explosion, is not such a happy anticipation. So what do we do with this new season of Advent? How do we combine all those things that are swirling around? How do we not take just the memories of the past and get captured by that, but also allow ourselves to have some anticipation of what is to come? And one of the ways I think that that is possible is to recognize the very real possibility that things will happen not on schedule. And this is one of the beautiful aspects of the life of faith, is that while we can mark days on the calendar, while people can say, get ready, there's only 27 shopping days left until Christmas, that there are other things that might happen on the 11th of December or on the 21st of December or in the middle of the night sometime that catch you completely off guard. That the presence of God is both coming into the world, and because we are post-Christmas Christians, already is in the world. And so part of our anticipation is not just for a singular event, but it's for the day-to-day. God, open my ears and my eyes to hear and see you present in my life and in the world around me as I journey through this season of anticipation and expectation. Open my eyes to having an encounter with somebody who is not on my schedule for that day, but in whom I might see your face, or I might have the opportunity to be your hands of love in this time. That is part of the joy of Advent, is knowing that God is present and coming simultaneously. A parallel to Jesus being divine and human simultaneously. That God has that capacity to infiltrate our lives and our world when we least expect it. And so this gospel passage about you don't know when the time will come, be ready, the Son of Man is coming at an unexpected hour, that's so true. And when you think back on your experiences in life, God has done that with you and for you. God has come at an unexpected hour. And that's part of the blessing of God's presence, is that sometimes when we are feeling very far away from God or feeling as though we need God the most, there is this presence unexplainable. After my freshman year in college, I had the opportunity to go work in the salmon industry in Alaska. Don't worry, for all of you who've seen The Deadliest Catch, I get queasy on the harbor cruise boat. So it wasn't the deadliest catch. I was a landlubber on the shore, and I was the nerdiest guy preparing to go be in Alaska that you have ever met. I sent resumes. As an 18-year-old college student up to these fishing canneries, extolling my vast qualifications to do the labor of processing salmon that came in off of the boats, and expected to get a call and a confirmation that maybe there would be a position for me. And I actually did have something lined up. And I was really feeling very secure and confident about this. And so I got on the plane and I brought all of this stuff with me, this big box of stuff that I would use to live in a tent alongside of the alongside of the cannery for the whole summer. And then 2 days before I was scheduled to fly, I got a really nasty case of strep throat that acted more like mono, and I couldn't fly. And I was delayed by a week. And I flew up there and I went to the office of the place that was going to hire me, and I said, "Hi, I'm here." And they said, "Oh yeah, we already filled that shift. We don't need anybody anymore." And I was in a panic. What am I supposed to do? I don't have a lot of money. I didn't really even plan to have money to be in a hotel. So I said, well, where should I go? And the shift supervisor said, well, there's a place in the forest over there where, you know, some of the laborers go. You can set up a tent there. So I went there, and it was scary. And I realized that I wasn't among a crowd of shiny 18-year-old college students. That's not that labor pool. And I started to think about the little multi-tool Swiss Army knife that I had in my possessions and wondering if that would be enough if I got into a pickle. And that night I had nothing other than to just pray. The kind of proverbial no atheists in a foxhole, right? That might have been the first thing that I did, but it wasn't. And I said, God, I don't know where I'm going to work. I don't know if I'm going to work. I've got money for peanut butter sandwiches for a few days, but after that it's going to get kind of dicey. God, I need to know you're with me. And I had this visceral feeling. It was one of the most powerful prayer experiences that I've ever had in my life. And it started right at the top of my scalp. And those of you who have ever practiced mindful breathing or meditation might have had something maybe comparable to this. Mine was linked with prayer, and it was this feeling that radiated down from the top of my head, and I could feel it in my muscles, and the tension eased throughout my body until it got to my toes, and it was this sense of relief. I didn't have a job. Nobody gave me any money. My outward circumstances did not change in the slightest. I was still in the forest with I didn't know who. But I had this sense that God was present, and the next day I was going to get up and pound the pavement and go around to all the different canneries in this town and just present myself, and who knows what would happen. But I tell you this story because none of that was supposed to work out that way. I had it all planned. I knew how it was going to go. I knew where I was going to be. I knew what I was going to do, and then it all evaporated. And yet, God was present. And in this season of Advent, we're going to make a lot of plans. You have your traditions. Maybe you get your tree at a certain period of time, and maybe you do your gift buying rituals if you have not taken care of all of it already from Black Friday. And all the other things that are going to go into these next days until the 25th. But some things are not going to go according to plan. Or maybe you like to live dangerously and there isn't a big plan, and you're just going to kind of wing it as we move in these days of preparation. But God is going to be present. And one of the neatest gifts that we can get during the season of Advent, as well as other times of the year, but especially now, is that we can be expectant and look forward not just to Christmas, but to the coming of God at times that we don't know when and we don't know how. So I'm hoping to hear your stories over these next few weeks as we chat before and after and whenever of how God is going to visit you, of how you're going to have unexpected moments of beauty and grace. I'm looking forward to hearing about how in this Advent season you are touched by the presence of the Holy Spirit, and then you share, because it's going to happen. We don't know how, but if we open ourselves and are expectant, it will happen. So yeah, let's look forward to Christmas. If you haven't already gotten your eggnog, go get some. Whatever else you're going to go get, it's going to be available. But let's also be expectant to the ways that God is going to flow through us and be present around us. Be watchful for that happening in our midst. And let's not be shy to share with one another about how we are experiencing the presence of God in this season of expectation. Christmas already happened 2,000 years ago, but God's presence is still happening and being renewed each and every day in our own time. May we be blessed to know it and to share it. Amen.